Hello there guys, welcome to one of my live videos, and on this video there is lots to negotiate about. I am going to be giving you the latest news on Paul Pogba. Also going to be talking with you a bit more about Ole Gunnar Solskjaer and that. So I'm going to give you the news now regarding Paul Pogba. So I was reading reports yesterday night, and it did confirm that Paul Pogba is officially back in training. Now, he was training in a Juventus shirt, was Paul Pogba. He had currently, Matuidi on the back of his shirt. The main explanation, I think, why he was wearing a Juventus shirt was to pay tribute to Matuidi, because obviously, he was tested positive for coronavirus, was Matuidi. So this is the main explanation why he was wearing the Juventus shirt. And Paul Pogba, was, I think, training alongside Victor Lindelof, in isolation. So obviously I've just been reading some other reports, and it says, Paul Pogba's career at Manchester United now could be over, and reportedly we've slashed £80 million off his transfer asking price. So I think reportedly, we're willing to sell him for around £100 million. Now, don't forget, recently, Paul Pogba's had some personal coaching with Michael Carrick. It is good news though that he is stepping up his fitness regime. So if the season is to resume after April the 3rd, then I think Paul Pogba will immediately, play, because Paul Pogba's appearances have been limited this season. He's only played 8 times for Manchester United. He hasn't played since Boxing Day, and he hasn't started from the start since September. Now, obviously, I don't know if Paul Pogba is going to be staying or he's going to be leaving Manchester United. Now, I wish, would just, would resolve his future, basically, because, he has had a long running transfer saga. Now, as you all know, Solskjaer did come out and he said after the 5-0 win against Lask that Paul Pogba will remain at Manchester United next season. He basically, reiterated, what Pogba has said the other week, because Paul Pogba said the other week he was interested in staying at Manchester United, and he was interested in extending his contract at the football club. Now, obviously, at the moment, Paul Pogba's got 2 years left on his contract. Well, it's a year, but there is an option of a further year. And he actually said, we've made a contract decision, and it said, we're willing to give Pogba an extension in his contract, ahead of the summer transfer window and that. But I think, he could possibly, still leave Manchester United. Obviously, I think one of the main explanations why he did say he wanted to stay is because he believes he can form a partnership with Bruno Fernandes in our midfield, because Pogba is aware of the impact that Bruno Fernandes has made at Manchester United. Now, I think if Paul Pogba does leave Manchester United in the summer, he'll either go to Real Madrid, because Real Madrid have been relentlessly linked with him. Don't forget Real Madrid winning for him last summer. His actual preference was a move to Real Madrid last summer. He'll go back to Juventus, because, he did enjoy 4 good years at Juventus before he came to Man United, and the vast majority of his performances at Man United have been totally comparison to his ones at Juventus. Don't forget, PSG have been in for him. Barcelona have also been in for him in the past. So a lot of clubs have expressed their interest in Paul Pogba, because he's still got a lot of years ahead of him. And he's 27 years of age. He is still regarded as one of the best midfielders in the world. Now, obviously, no. So this year, Paul Pogba's been subject to a lot of transfer speculation. Last year, he was subject to a lot of transfer speculation. Last summer, subject to a lot of transfer speculation. Under the Jose Mourinho era, subject to a lot of transfer speculation, because he endured a difficult relationship with Jose Mourinho. So we just basically, need to get his future resolved. Paul Pogba's. We need to get his future resolved in that. But yeah, like I mentioned, he is now back in training, and that's a very, very good news. So he's now close to returning for Manchester United. But Solskjaer did say the other week that he would have been returning to training. But he's sustained quite a few injuries, as Paul Pogba, as a Manchester United player. But we paid £89 million for him. Obviously, it's important, that we'd obviously, get more than 89 million if we were to sell him in the summer transfer window. But Pogba revealed a while back, that he told his teammates that he wanted to leave. Last summer, he did say he was seeking for a new challenge. But United fans have got different perceptions on Paul Pogba. Some United fans would be determined to keep him, some United fans would let him go. Because looking at it, if we got rid of him, it'd free up our wage bill a lot because Pogba's on 290 grand a week at the club. Plus, we'd get at least £100 million for him. And, if we were to sell him, it would generate a lot of money. It would help us with our rebuilding process. So, yeah. So, I just wanted to confirm he's been training in the Juventus shirt, has Paul Pogba. Now, as you all know, sometime today, Premier League clubs are going to be having an emergency meeting to establish plans for the remainder of the season. So we're going to know more today, about, the Premier League and all of that. As you all know, fixtures are suspended until April the 3rd, at least. Fixtures are suspended due to the outbreak of the coronavirus. And it still remains uncertain, whether the season is going to resume after April the 3rd. We'll also know more about, what's going to be going on with Liverpool, because like I updated you yesterday night, you had Alexander Seferin, who's the UEFA president. He basically come out and said if the season is abandoned, then Liverpool will not be handed the Premier League title. Well, there's actually been some reports saying that Liverpool would still be crowned Premier League champions even if the season wasn't to resume. Liverpool, of course, are only 2 wins away from winning their first ever Premier League title and to end their 30-year drought. From my own perception, if the season wasn't to resume, they'd end it on the current standings as the table stands now. I don't know, and I've also been hearing a lot of rumours saying, relegation will be scrapped. Don't forget the Villa Sporting director saying, recently, that relegation should be scrapped. So this means if Liverpool wouldn't be handed the title, Leeds wouldn't win the Championship, West Brom wouldn't get promotion, League One, there wouldn't be any League One winners, there wouldn't be any League Two winners in that. So we will see what happens, but this coronavirus is getting worse. Don't forget, UEFA, want the season to be completed because UEFA come out and said, they want all Premier League fixtures, they want all domestic club competitions to be completed by the 30th of June. So they want the season completed, and this is why UEFA decided to postpone Euro 2020. They've postponed Euro 2020 until, the summer of 2021 of the UEFA. So too did the Norwegian FA. But like I mentioned, if the season is to resume, then obviously the Football Association have got to, reschedule all the fixtures that they have postponed. But hopefully, touch wood, the season will resume and that. I'm not too sure, by the way, when, how long the Champions League and the Europa League games have been suspended for. I'm not too sure how long the FA Cup games and that have been suspended for. I don't think, that's been confirmed as yet. But like I mentioned, we will know more today about what happens. We'll know more today and that. So that's just, I wanted to confirm that with you guys. But like I mentioned, the main explanations why, the fixtures have been suspended is because of what happened to Mikel Arteta. Because don't forget, he got tested positive for COVID-19. Obviously, quite a few players have been tested for it, and players have had it as well. I think Man United players have been tested for it because don't forget, Solskjaer recently ordered our team to train as normal. And obviously, you've got quite a few countries now that are in lockdown with it. Britain could become in lockdown, with this coronavirus. But it's a very, very bad disease. And, I hate when there's no football. But obviously, like I mentioned, public health is more of a priority than football. Let's be honest about that. But, I'd rather basically have no football than play football matches behind closed doors. Because football is not the same without any fans. So yeah, so that's just to update you on that. Now, I want to also confirm that the Glazers are willing to back Ole Gunnar Solskjaer in the summer transfer window. They're willing to back him in the summer transfer window. Also, too, Ed Woodward is determined to back Solskjaer in the summer transfer window. Because don't forget, Ed Woodward a while back, laid the foundations for long-term success with Solskjaer and that. And he's willing to back the signings that he wants to recommend into the football club in the summer. But also, too, now are the Glazers. Now, obviously, and as you all know, a lot of United fans have been doubting the Glazers this season. They've been criticising Ed Woodward a lot. Obviously, the Glazers have, been at Manchester United since 2005. So they've been owning the club now for 15 years. You've obviously not had Ed Woodward that's been at Manchester United since 2012. So he's been here now 8 years as Ed Woodward. What's Ed Woodward done at the football club? Obviously, he's obviously, sacked 3 managers. That's what Ed Woodward's done. Also, a lot of money has been spent in that. But like I mentioned, a lot of United fans have been very, very critical of him this season. Now, obviously, it's good that Solskjaer's making plans for the summer transfer window because he's aware that, there's still deficiencies in the squad that need to be addressed. Solskjaer's identified 3 positions where he wants Manchester United to strengthen up. Now, I think he wants a centre forward, he also wants a right winger, and he also wants a central midfielder, does Solskjaer, because Solskjaer does believe that we need around 3 signings to become title contenders next season. So he wants to bring around 3 or 4 signings in. On the other hand, he wants to get rid of around 5 players in the summer, and we hope to generate over £200 million for the 5 players we are considering getting rid of and that. So obviously I give you the news, didn't I, regarding Jude Bellingham yesterday. Reports were coming out saying that Manchester United are obsessed about the idea of signing Jude Bellingham, but reportedly he has rejected Man United, Chelsea and Bayern Munich as Jude Bellingham, and reportedly he's accepted a deal to join Borussia Dortmund as the player. Now, obviously, like I said to you, for my own perception, I don't think Jude Bellingham is ready for the Premier League as yet. I think he needs at least another season in the Championship because this is first season in the senior squad. Jude Bellingham's up until this point, he has spent the entirety of his career with Birmingham, and he's been a Birmingham player since the age of 8. But to be fair, this season for Birmingham, he has been a revelation. I think he's played in 35 games in all competitions. Obviously, became the youngest player to ever represent Birmingham because made his debut at the age of 16 years and 38 days. And yeah, and he is only the age of 16, so he is inexperienced. I think he can play as a number 10. You can also play him as a right winger. By the way, he's not yet signed his professional contract. I think he's expected to sign it in the summer. At the moment, he's only on £145 a week. He's Jude Bellingham. Yes, he is. He's only on £145 a week. But, so reportedly now I think he's favoured to go to Borussia Dortmund is Jude Bellingham. Now, Birmingham have quoted out that they want around £30 million for him if they are, determined to sell him. Now, obviously, last Monday, like I mentioned to Jude Bellingham was at our Carrington training ground, with his parents. He held negotiations with Alex Ferguson and his parents held negotiations with Ed Woodward. So that fueled up a lot of speculation. But he would fit Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's transfer strategy perfectly because Solskjaer did confirm he still wants to continue the policy of recruiting young players to Manchester United and that. So yeah, I'm very sceptical that he'll come to Manchester United with Jude Bellingham. Like I mentioned to you, I think I mentioned it on my video yesterday, an Ole Gunnar Solskjaer signing would have been Erling Haaland, and it was very, very disappointing, that we missed out on Erling Haaland because, the main explanation why it would have been an Ole Gunnar Solskjaer signing is because Solskjaer knows the player well. Solskjaer, managed Erling Haaland, during his time with Mould. And, Solskjaer was keen on a reunion with the player. But at Borussia Dortmund ended up getting Erling Haaland. And, the other disappointing thing is that, it would have been a cheap solution. It was available for around 17 or 18 million pounds was Erling Haaland. So it was a shame that Man United didn't get him. So we can't, lose Bellingham to Borussia Dortmund as well as Erling Haaland. But I was just reading the reports yesterday regarding Bellingham and it said, he's accepted a deal to join Borussia Dortmund. So this is what it basically said. Obviously, Jack Grealish is another player on our agenda. I think quite a few clubs now have expressed their interest in Jack Grealish. Us, Liverpool. There's been a lot of narrative saying that Liverpool are in for him. City, you know, Tottenham, don't forget, came close to getting him in the summer of 2018. So there has been quite a few clubs interested in Jack Grealish. Now, I think, like I said, he's expected to cost from 60 to 70 million pounds in the summer. Probably wouldn't cost that much if Villa were to get relegated, but if they were to avoid relegation, Grealish would cost around 60 or 70 million pounds. As you all know, up until this point, Grealish has spent the entirety of his career with Aston Villa. Reason up their youth academy. He's been a Villa player since the age of 8. He's been their senior squad since 2014, and he has become an integral part of their team. Grealish is 24 years of age. He's predominantly an attacking midfielder, but can occasionally play as a winger. Yes, he can. But he is a very, very good player. And obviously, he does want to rejuvenate his career, does Jack Grealish. I think he did reveal that a while ago. If he was to leave Aston Villa, his preference would be a move to Manchester United. We are actually seeing him as an adequate replacement for Pogba, but I think even if Pogba was to remain at the football club, it wouldn't affect our pursuit of Jack Grealish. But I'd love Jack Grealish to come in because I think he'd complement our midfield really, really well in that. But yeah, so we will see what happens with that. So like I mentioned, there is a lot of players on our agenda. There's a lot of players on our agenda and that. But like I mentioned, I think, the 4 or 5 players that Man United are going to get rid of in the summer. I think, Jones, he's a rumoured player that's going to be going because, like I mentioned, Phil Jones doesn't even get in the team now. Jones is now into his, 9th season at Man United. He has been a long-serving player at the football club as Phil Jones. He has enjoyed 8 years here. But obviously, like I mentioned, you've got Harry Maguire and you've got Victor Lindelof that are our first choice centre halves. And you've got Bay and Tuanzebe that are the backups that have just come back from injury. And you've got Luke Shaw that can also operate as a centre half. And so, obviously, Phil Jones isn't going to get in the team. Rumours were coming out saying that Newcastle and West Ham had expressed their interest in him and they was willing to offer over £12 million, or just over £12 million for him, yeah. But we need to move Phil Jones on. He's been here since the Alex Ferguson era. Also, too, I expect Lingard to be moved on in the summer because he's now a liability. And as it stands, Lingard is struggling now to get into the team. And he's lost the confidence of Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, reflecting on his poor run of performances. He's been at Manchester United for several years, raising up our youth academy. He's also had quite a few loan spells, but like I mentioned, reflects on his status at the football club. He should be putting much more better performances out. He's got just under 16 months left on his contract. I've got the same perception on Pereira. I think he's also a liability as Andres Pereira, so I think Manchester United also need to move him on. Also, too, I think we'll negotiate on getting Sanchez a permanent transfer away from Manchester United because as it stands at the moment, he is on loan at Inter Milan, is Alexis Sanchez. I think we'll try and get rid of Marcus Rojo on a permanent transfer because he's on loan at Estudiantes at the moment. So we'll get rid of around 4 or 5 players in the summer. But so far, Solskjaer has enjoyed 3 transfer windows at Manchester United and he's spent around £220 million. And you've got to give Solskjaer the credit, for the players that he's brought in. Because I think, they've all been exceptional of the 5 players he's recommended in. Obviously, I think James has done really, really well. Prior to the last couple of months, where he hasn't been to his best. But it was good to see James end his goal drought against Lask. That was his first goal for the football club since 31st of August, by the way. And I didn't expect Daniel James to play as many games to the extent as he has done this season. But, I just feel as though, from my own perception, we have overplayed him. I think he was injured not too long ago, was Daniel James. Obviously, now I've been impressed with Wan-Bissaka. He's another player I've been impressed with. He's been exceptional for us, and he has made the difference on that right-hand side, as Wan-Bissaka. His defensive contribution is good, and I think we're starting to see the attacking side of his game. I've also been very, very impressed with Harry Maguire. You can say he's addressed our defensive deficiencies. Manchester United paid £80 million for Harry Maguire. He's the club's second most expensive signing, and he's the most expensive defender in the world, is Harry Maguire. But he's very good in the air. His calmness, his composure has also been very, very good. And we did make the right decision by giving him the captaincy. We give him the captaincy reflecting on Ashley Young's departure from the football club. So give Maguire a lot of credit. And I think, Bruno Fernandes and Odion Ighalo have also been exceptional for us. Solskjaer did get them in January. You can maybe say he's made 4 signings because obviously we've got Odion Ighalo on loan. But Bruno Fernandes is definitely, the best player, that Solskjaer has signed since he's come in. He's actually the best player, since we've signed since the Alex Ferguson era. Because Bruno Fernandes is making the difference in the team. His decision making's good. He's very instrumental. He's very creative. Taking Bruno Fernandes out of the equation, we're lacking creativity in the team. Because he brings that flair and that creativity in our midfield. Don't forget Bruno Fernandes got Premier League Player of the Month for February, reflecting on his good run of performances. Bruno Fernandes has 3 goals and 4 assists so far for Manchester United, so he's enjoyed a fantastic start to his Manchester United career. Manchester United, of course, paid £68 million, with add-ons included from Sporting Lisbon. So we've basically been urged to build a team around Bruno Fernandes, and Odion Ighalo, he's also enjoyed a fantastic start to his Manchester United career. He's got four goals in 3 starts. I think he's also provided 2 assists as Odion Ighalo, but like I mentioned, he's an option of a different type of centre forward, is Odion Ighalo. So, what I mean is, he's totally comparison to the likes of Martial, he's totally comparison to Rashford, and all our other attacking players he's totally comparison to, because, like I've just said, he's an option of a different type of centre forward. His hold-up play is also very, very good, and he's confounded his critics wrong, because a lot of United fans fans and even neutrals out there were basically saying he is a panic buy. As it stands at the moment, we've got him on a 6-month loan. We paid around 3 or 4 million to get him on loan. We're paying like 1/3 of his wages. But Solskjaer did make an admission saying it's likely, we'll try and get him on a permanent transfer in the summer transfer window. And I think Odion Ighalo did reveal he's even willing to take a pay cut to remain at Manchester United. So the signings Solskjaer's brought in have done really, really well. I've got to be honest with you in that. But, like I mentioned, a lot of money's been spent at Manchester United in the last 6 or 7 years in all the managerial eras since the Ferguson era. And, of course, as you all know, we've had managers with different philosophies, but a lot of money's been spent at Manchester United. Not only that, we've got the highest wage bill. We've got players on big contracts at the football club. You've got Fernandes on 100 grand a week. You've got Odion Ighalo on 100 grand a week, is it, or just over? You've got Pogba on 290 grand a week. You've got Rashford on, is it 300 odd grand a week? You've got Martial on 200 odd grand a week. You've got De Gea on £375,000 a week. You've got Lingard, is it on 100 grand a week? Maguire on 200 grand a week. So we have got players on big contracts at the football club. So let's just put that into the equation. Obviously, Man United in recent years have overpaid for players. We do know that. Obviously, we're not really sensible with our recruitment, are we? We do overpay for players. Obviously, you can say we overpaid for Maguire, but he's still done really, really well. We overpaid for Fred. We paid £50 million for him. But I've got to say, Fred has confounded his critics wrong, for the vast majority of this season, because he's done really, really well as Fred, and I've got to give him a lot of credit. Under the Jose Mourinho era, let's be honest, Fred never really got his opportunities. And, he was exceptional in Ukraine with Shakhtar Donetsk. But since Solskjaer's come in, we've seen, what Fred can really do. And he's doing really, really well in that midfield. So give him a lot of credit. But we did overpay for him. We overpaid for Matic because we paid £40 million for Nemanja Matic from Chelsea back in 2017. And now Matic is into his 3rd season at the football club. And he's made over 100 appearances for the club. Obviously, we know now that Matic is staying. He isn't going this summer, Matic, because don't forget, it confirmed that Man United have triggered a 1-year extension on his contract. And I think this is reflecting on his good run of performances. Matic isn't our first choice midfielder. He is a backup to Fred and McTominay. But I've got to say, Matic hit the ground running well when McTominay was out with injury. So he has deserved to be given more chances, to be fair, as Nemanja Matic. But obviously, we had an option to extend his contract by a further year anywhere because Matic was in the final 12 months of his contract. So put that into the equation. But how old is he now? Is he, 31, 32 years of age? So he is aging up. So we know that he's staying. But like I mentioned, we did overpay for Matic. Yes, we did in that. But yeah, we are known for definitely overpaying players. 89 million for Pogba, he wasn't worth that. And that was bad business from the club, really, because we let him, like I mentioned, we let Paul Pogba go on a free under the Ferguson era due to limited appearances. But it was reflecting on what he did at Juventus, what made us probably pay 89 million for Paul Pogba. But obviously, he's been mainly inconsistent since he rejoined from Juventus back in 2016. But obviously, I think if we do sell Pogba, like I mentioned, we'll get more than 89 million. We should do. Obviously, by the way, I give you the news, didn't I, regarding Anthony Martial yesterday. Obviously, it was stemming from the Daily Express, and they were basically saying that Anthony Martial's future is in doubt with Manchester United. This is what it basically said. And it says if Ole Gunnar Solskjaer fails to get us qualification for the Champions League for next season, Martial could leave Manchester United for Inter Milan. Now, don't forget, Anthony Martial has been subjected to a lot of transfer speculation in the past. And he was actually, close to leaving under the Jose Mourinho era. Because don't forget, under the Jose Mourinho era, Mourinho had bad disputes with our board. He had bad disputes with our top players. And this is the main reasons why it didn't work out under Mourinho, despite the fact that he won 2 trophies in his first season at the club and spent a hell of a lot of money. Now, obviously, Martial is into his fifth season at Manchester United. So he's actually been a long-serving player. Martial has over 60-odd goals in over 200-odd appearances in all competitions. I think this season he's got around 15 goals as Anthony Martial. And this season, Anthony Martial has sustained quite a few injuries as a Manchester United player. But I've got to be honest with you, recently he has done really, really well as Anthony Martial. But he has actually been playing in that number 9 this season. But Martial is predominantly plays out on the left. In his 4 previous seasons, he's been playing out on the left-hand side. I think one of Martial's best seasons was his debut season under the Louis van Gaal era. We got Martial at the age of 19, and now, of course, he is the age of 24. But I've still got to say, aspects of his game have really, really improved. So reportedly, he could go to Inter Milan because Martinez is expected to leave Inter Milan in the summer, and obviously they'll want an adequate replacement for him. Don't forget, Inter Milan, I've already recruited 3 of our players. Don't forget they got Ashley Young this year. After Young endured 8.5 years at Man United, he endured 8.5 years at the club. Obviously, they got Sanchez on loan from us, and they also got Lukaku for £70 million. So could Inter Milan yet again get another player of us? So yeah, that's the latest news regarding Martial. I also give you news about Gomez, didn't I? Earlier on this weekend, Joe Gomez. His future has not yet been resolved, and this is the reason why he seldom played this season under Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. And as you all know, Man United have got quite a few ambitions this season. The Europa League is a priority for us because it's transfers getting some silverware on the board, plus it's another route to Champions League qualification. And the FA Cup is a priority for us. And plus we've just got to hope that we can finish in that top 4. Well, 5th place is a Champions League spot because of Manchester City's ban from the Champions League. And that. But like I mentioned, we are still determined to back Solskjaer. Obviously, a lot of players are still determined to back Solskjaer and that. By the way, Alex Tuanzebe does agree with Eric Bay that, Solskjaer's past experience as a player makes a difference to life at Manchester United and that. So, this is what, Bay did come out and say, but Tuanzebe has agreed with him. But he has been here over the years, Solskjaer. He knows if he's given another season, he's got many expectations to exceed. And we're in a good run of form, though, so he deserves a lot of credit recently. We are unbeaten in our last 11 games in all competitions. And we've also done really, really well against the top 6 sides this season. I think from my own perception, Solskjaer needs to stick with a 3-5-2 because we look more expansive with that formation. So anyway, guys, drop your comments, likes below on the channel. If you do, consider subscribe as always, and take care. God bless, and I'll see you all again very, very soon.